learning more about becoming a better leader within your restaurant, go to tpenow.com to book your free discovery call.
Si estás interesado en mejorar tu liderazgo y aprender cómo mejorar tu equipo, tu comunicación, ve a la página web tpenow.com y podrás hacer clic en el enlace de una llamada de descubrimiento y te podemos conectar con alguien que hará un entrenamiento comprensivo contigo.
We're super excited. Ashley and I are super excited to join the TPE team, and we're excited to be your coach. So go to tpe.com and select your coach, get a call. We're super excited about that.
Yeah, and also join our Leader Square. It's a community of leaders where you can dive in and learn about different content, different resources, all with our TPE family. So you can join in to our Leader Square community.
Yeah, we're going to be posting stuff consistently. Actually, every single day, we're going to be posting different leadership quotes, leadership content. So we're super excited about the Leadership Square.
What's up, TPE family? It's time for us to get a little better with the Daily Dose of Leadership with Alex Seal. Let's go!
New TPE.
What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another daily dose of leadership where the aim and goal is for us to get a little bit better each and every day. My name is Alex Hill, and I have over 20 years of organizational experience. 15 of those years have been spent in leadership. So that simply means that I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people, implement systems, and just help push a business forward. But enough about me today. As you can tell, we got a very special guest on the line, somebody who I had a chance to, rub shoulders with. What was that? To 2017, 2018, maybe a little bit further back than that. 2016. Yeah. So, man, I had a chance to meet this young man. He was in town going to school. Now he has I can't even step to him like I want to because he is so good at what he does. And so I couldn't help but jump at the opportunity to have him on the dose. He happens to be a part of the TPE family. He is also from Baytown, but he's a part of the Baytown family first, second to TPE. He's one of our beloved coaches here, and we just love him. We appreciate him. He is going to be a great coach, particularly for our ESL community out there. We know there's a lot of Spanish-speaking leaders who are looking for support, and this is going to be your guy here. I'm talking about none other than Neftali Franco. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Alex. Thank you for that very beautiful introduction. Try to live up to that expectation.
No, I might have sold you a little short. Actually,
No.
I might have left some things out.
Not at all. Yeah. It's been a while since we worked together. Like you said, back in 2016, I was actually at Lamar and Beaumont to go study for nursing. At that time, I had already been working with Chick-fil-A Baytown for a while. So I've been at Chick-fil-A Baytown for a total of a little bit over 9 years. So almost hitting that decade period. A long time. But today we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it is to ask for feedback and receive feedback and just kind of the details about feedback. I think sometimes we don't really think through how to ask for feedback, how to receive that feedback, and what to do with the feedback. And it can be very confusing when people come up to us and ask us, hey, how am I doing? And you're just kind of like, well, what do you mean? In what aspect? And so I think just kind of diving into that is going to be key today. And really, I have 3 points that I kind of want to talk about. And the first one is this shotgun versus sniper approach when it comes to feedback. So I don't know if you've heard about this, Alex, before, or this analogy about it. And I recently heard about
use this all the time. So when I saw that we was talking about this, I got excited because it's like I probably used this a couple of weeks ago in our director meeting. But go ahead.
Nice. Yeah. So when you think of a shotgun, it's a shell with a lot of little bullets inside that throws into a bunch of different directions when you shoot it. It's somewhat calculated of you have a target where you're shooting, but you don't really know where all those little bullets are going to hit. Compared to a sniper, when you think of snipers and what you see in movies, they're very calculated, right? They're like taking like consideration of the speed wind, like what direction it's coming from, their position. They have like a very certain way they position themselves on the ground, the equipment. it's just very precise, very thought out, very methodical. It's not just this, let's hope I kind of hit the target kind of thing. And I think with feedback, it's sometimes we take this shotgun approach to it, and it leads us to not get any good actionable um, actions out of the conversation we're having, because we didn't really think of what it is that we needed to say. And sometimes the person coming to ask for feedback didn't really give us very specific details on what they wanted to hear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we had a conversation recently about this, and when you were unpacking that, I just never really. I think we've always, I guess, understood that to be a fact, but just getting into being very specific and direct about exactly what you're asking for, I thought that was a very good point that we were talking about, and I'm glad you brought it up here again.
Yeah. So, it's usually awkward when people come up to you and they're like, "Hey, so can you give me some feedback?" And I've had people kind of do that in the years that I've been leading people, and I'm like, okay, well, on what? And I kind of like have to think through things, and I'm like, well, I don't really think that answered the question that that person was looking for. And I think it's crucial that we talk about this with our leaders, because in order for them to have good actions, in order for them to be able to do something with the feedback that we're giving them, they also have to be very good at how they ask for feedback. It has to be organized. It has to be specific. Like, it can't just be, "Hey, how am I doing?" No. "Hey, how did you feel about my performance today as it pertains to urgency and maybe the tone that I set in the shift that I had today with my teammates?" Right? That's a very specific thing that I can answer, that I can look back and say, "Hey, man, you did an awesome job today. Like, you came in with this great energy. You got everybody excited, and you set goals, and we were able to reach that." And so that gives people direction, rather than just like this generalized thing of like, "Hey, yeah, you're doing great." Well, okay, like, thanks. So I think that number number one on shotgun versus sniper approach, I think that's a very important thing to remember in how we give feedback, and even how we allow other people to come and ask us for feedback.
Yeah, no, no, I'm in agreement with that. So what else is there to giving to receiving or asking for great feedback?
So on the part of asking, I think sometimes there's things that stop leaders from asking for feedback to their boss or the person that's above them, right? Sometimes they don't ask for enough for feedback. And I think there's different factors that go into that and why. And I think sometimes leaders stop asking for feedback, and they stop themselves from doing that because they're scared to come to terms with the reality of the performance that they're actually putting out. And so they're self-aware that they're not maybe doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And so they just don't want to come to this realization of like, man, if I go ask for feedback, they're going to tell me like that I'm doing a poor job, and nobody really wants to hear that. But then that just creates a bunch of other problems long term, right? So I think that's one of them. I think the other one, like we just spoke about, some leaders just don't know how to ask for feedback. They don't. We know it was never really a conversation. We talk about what leadership is all the time, right? We're like, leadership is influence, leadership is this. How do we move forward? How do we set goals? But I think feedback is just one of those things that's kind of like overseen in the development process a lot of times, but it's so crucial in order to be able to pivot into the next step of your leadership and what we're going to do next to be able to elevate the experience that other people have around you when you are leading. And then the third one would be, they lack an internal drive to grow. And that's a scary place to be at. I think out of all things, if you don't have this drive to grow and to pursue what's next in your life, like, there's not much that anybody else can do for you at that point, because I can't grow that desire in you. And so I think people sometimes they just don't ask because they're complacent, and they're happy where they're at, and they just don't want to push forward. And I mean, I've seen that in the last 9, 10 years of working in the quick service restaurant industry. And I don't know how you've seen that in the last 20 years, Alex.
Well, yeah, I think it's pretty up and down. I think that is to me the most detrimental place to be in when you just lack the drive. When you get into that level, just at a very you're at the management level. You're no longer at the leadership level. You're coming in. You're just checking the boxes. You're not inspired to do your best work. You're not inspired. So when you're not inspired to do your best work, you're not leading other people to success. You might be getting a job done, but it's not the job. I think Tim Tassopoulos would say, I think several years ago, and you probably remember this, when we talked about things being all right versus being all right. And I think so I think when you're in that mental frame of you're not inspired to grow, you're okay with just things being just all right versus having the leadership to pursue things being all right. And I think that thirst for feedback is what's going to help you keep that edge sharp. I just we just talked to Giovanna recently, and one of the things I mentioned is just that turnover in leadership. After a while, you start to see leaders peak, and then they start to they just have the hills and the valleys in their careers. And I think it's for us who are in this business, who are coach. We on one hand we're coaches, and on the other hand we're just live action boots on the ground, seeing things happen in real time. And so I think the beauty of it is being able to deal with those things in your real life, and then translate them to a TPE standpoint, and being able to help other people who are going through the same thing that may need that word to help steer them to the right direction. So yeah, I'm sure it happens everywhere. Just depending on what level of the season you're in. I talk to other directors at the job all the time. It's like tomorrow could be the greatest day, and then the next day it could be the total opposite. And you know that. You know. I mean, you got everything, man. We had a good meeting today. We had, we did the sales increase yesterday, but then tomorrow 2-3 call outs later, and this happened, that happened. It could just take away. You're in the QSR space. Your expectations can just go up and down. Well, the roller coaster of how the day goes can be up and down, and so sometimes you can get in a place to where that gets discouraging, but you got to push through that. So sorry, it'll be a little long-winded on that piece.
No, you're good. I think I remember what Truitt said, right? He said he always used the word. He said, "I'd never want to be associated with the word mediocre," right? And when I think of lack of growth or a lack of drive to grow, that's what I think. Like, we're okay with being okay, which is being okay with being mediocre. And the word mediocre just sounds ugly. And he said I would never want to be associated with that. And I think a lot of leaders sometimes associate themselves with that unconsciously or unintentionally when they choose to not grow. They don't realize they're choosing to live a mediocre life and to just be complacent with where they're at. But as leaders, we carry this weight of responsibility around us because there's people watching us, people behind us, people that are expecting things from us. And so when we get on this platform in leadership and we're in that spotlight, like, you have to be extra careful of what you do in your life that is going to set an example for other people to follow. And so, yeah, I think growth is one of those big topics that sometimes it's uncomfortable. Growth is never comfortable, right? The more uncomfortable things are, the harder you're probably growing. The more you're growing, the more things you're learning. But it's super crucial in the industry where we're at today. So, good stuff right there. And then the last point that I have for feedback is, when does asking for feedback become counterproductive, right? So when the frequency of feedback is too high, it can lead to feedback fatigue, which can result in less meaningful feedback. And so sometimes it's too often. So some leaders just don't ask for enough feedback, right? And they just kind of go by. They're like, I'm gonna do my thing. Kind of like, earlier when you said it, something about just coming in doing the job, reminded me of quiet quitting, right? Like, this term that came around after COVID. Like, you're not quitting your job, but you're just coming in and doing the bare minimum in your job description and just calling it a day at 5 o'clock or whatever time clock out is, and saying, you know what, hands off, goodbye. I don't really care. I'm here to do like the bare minimum to get a paycheck. And so what your conversation was reminding me about that. But so the opposite of that is people that just ask too much too often. And sometimes it comes across as over dependence. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, um, Alex, but with some leaders, like they're just consistently asking, like, "What? Hey, how did I do? Hey, can you give me feedback on this? Hey, can you review this for me?" And it almost becomes this like need for reassurance, or sometimes it's they just want this like I want to call it like a stroke on their ego, right? Like they want to hear you say good job. Like they need this validation from you as a leader. And I think that can ultimately break trust between leader to leader, because it just shows a lack of confidence in their own judgment and in their ability to be able to drive decisions and results. And so asking for feedback is great, but not asking for feedback is bad. But then asking for too much feedback can also be pretty counterproductive. And so I think there's this fine balance and fine line between when to ask for feedback, how to ask for feedback, and how often I should be asking for feedback to where it doesn't come across as this over dependence in my role. That makes sense.
No, it makes all the sense in the world because for me, it's it. You said that it could lead to breaking the trust. I think trust is already broken if that could be a reason for the over ask of the feedback. Obviously there's something that is there, either that or I was going to say, just putting the onus on the organization a little bit. Are you clear enough in the expectations that you have for the people who you are leading to where they know what success is? I think sometimes organizations, particularly for myself, I'll just use myself as an example. Like I've been doing this for a long time. So the need for me to communicate what success looks like might have weakened over the years because it's like, y'all know what to do. We know what we're here for,
Yep.
and I think sometimes when you're have had success for a long time, you take for granted you're getting new people in all the time. You're missing that point. So I think that if you are getting feedback from a leader, sure, it could be over dependence on the behalf of the person who's being led, or you could look at from an organizational standpoint. If you're in the position of authority to say, hey, have I outlined what success looks like for this individual? That might be an opportunity for you to pull them to the side and say, hey, do you tell me what you know about what your expectations are? Reiterate to me, and I think that's what systems come into play, scorecards and whatever metric you use to quantify success. Is that accessible? Is that available? Is it clear? Is it made with confidence? I think just those different things to consider from an organizational standpoint, because I'm 100% with you on the follower part. I just wanted to throw that in there too, because I think that's important, because sometimes it could be an organizational breakdown if we have those occurrences happening.
Yeah, no, there's always this other side of feedback, right? Like on the person that's in charge. Like, like you said, are we clear on those expectations? And if we are clear, are we giving praise when praise is deserved, right? Like, do we say, hey, I saw the project that you submitted, I saw the results that it yielded, I just want to say that you're doing an awesome job, and I want to see more of that from you. And so that just those couple words just give them so much more motivation to keep pushing forward. And I think that's sometimes something that we don't do well as leaders leading other people. We're so used to, like you said, the success, the results, that, and it's easy for us sometimes to a certain point, right? That we forget that it was never that easy when we were coming up, and other people are struggling to produce these results, and we just forget how hard it was, and we forget to stop and say, hey, I know this is a learning curve for you. I know you're still learning. I know there's still struggles, but I see the effort you put in, and I saw what the result was out of that. Keep doing what you're doing. And so, yeah, I think it's super important that we do our part when it comes to feedback, just as much as it's important that they do their part on how to ask for feedback.
Absolutely, man. This has been a masterclass in feedback. I hope you guys were out there taking notes. I hope you guys were able to just kind of get wrap your minds around what this means. Neff, could you do me a favor? Can you tell us those three? If you guys want to take notes now, what are those three steps that you outlined, if you don't mind?
So we talked about shotgun versus sniper approach feedback, right? Then number two, we said what stops leaders from asking for feedback, and number three, when does asking for feedback become counterproductive?
There you have it, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, head over to tpenow.com to get registered for our free virtual leadership training that's going to be happening on October 29th at 8 p.m. Myself, Neff, Ashley, we're going to be putting together a presentation for you all to help you pivot into your next, to help you execute leadership at a higher level. If you want to get connected with myself or with Neff, again, like I said at the top of the broadcast, he is fluently bilingual. He can definitely help your team. If you have some people on your team and you're listening to this and said, man, I would love some people who are on our staff to get connected with Neff to help expand their leadership, we'll be more than happy to facilitate that for you. Head over to tpenow.com and let's book a free discovery call to figure out how we can get connected. Thank you so much, Neff, for coming on to the broadcast today. You did a wonderful job. I'm pretty sure somebody out there was helped. And TPE family, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. You guys, again, I announced this on the last episode, but the name has changed. It is no longer Alex Seal. It is the Pivot Experience, the YouTube channel officially. And so all content that is TPE, short form, long form, will be flowing through that. And so we are at 2,000 subscribers, looking to grow, looking to continue to help get more and more people on board with what we're doing here. If you're looking for a community of leaders to be with, Leader Square is for you as well. We're building a community of leadership and just collaboration. Myself and the other coaches are putting great content out there to help you pivot into your next. Let's get connected. Let's grow together. And that's all I have for today. Until next time, TPE family. Peace.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your friend, Pastor John R. Adolph from the Antioch Church in Beaumont, Texas. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe this channel so you can continue to pivot into your next.